Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins at a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923, AnyMac Home Mortgage, an equal housing lender, American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC, DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage, Lo-Fi Direct, Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent, License Lender, Broker Number, ML 338923, Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License Number, MC 338923, Rhode Island License Lender, License Number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley, and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this, they lob it to him, he taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3, he's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees are not. They're even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risser along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And the college football playoff rankings are out for this week. Not much of a surprise. I mean, Georgia number 1, Michigan number 2 after their big win over Ohio State. TCU number 3 as they stayed undefeated last week, beating Iowa State. USC number 4, and then number 5 Ohio State, number 6 Alabama. Alabama's interesting because they finally entered the conversation. We thought they were done a couple weeks ago, but they finally entered the conversation. But really what it means for me is I think Georgia and Michigan are in regardless of what happened. Yeah, they might lose. They might be lower seeds if they lose this week. But I think it also means it's pretty obvious. TCU, obviously, winning, they're in. And then USC, they now control their own destiny. They win, and they're in. And for Ohio State, I think Ohio State's got to hope one of those two teams loses, because I think if one of the two teams loses, especially USC, if they lose, I think that Ohio State definitely gets in, because they're a one-loss. They're a one-loss team, but they're one loss to Michigan. Because even if TCU loses, I think they get in. And here's what's going to be even more interesting: say TCU and USC lose, Ohio State's in as the number 3 seed. Who is that number 4 seed? Is it a one-loss TCU or a 2-loss Alabama? I'm still taking a one-loss TCU, but I think the committee would take that 2-loss Alabama.
Oh, I'm 100% with you. I'd go with 1-loss TCU, because you gotta give them credit. They ran the regular season table. If they lose a game to a top 10 Kansas State team, they really shouldn't be punished for it. But I'm with you. The only thing they care about is the ratings, and especially any way they can get Ohio State and Alabama in there, that will help the ratings, and that's all they care about. Believe it or because look, let's be honest. TCU plays in the Big 12, but they're treated like a little guy. They really are. They really are.
They were in 2014.
Yeah. They didn't get the respect then. They're not going to get respect now. And again, I'm right there with, if they lose, as long as it's a close game, they should get in. But yeah, they have to win this game. Right? I think on Sunday, Ohio State's going to be sitting there sliding in at number 4.
Yeah, I mean, USC definitely has to win. That's a must win. If they don't get in, they're out. USC's out. TCU probably is out, but they would need definitely. Yeah, if USC wins and TCU loses, they're definitely out. But say USC loses and TCU loses, TCU might be able to sneak in because there is a chance they would take them over Alabama, but that's very risky for TCU. When it gets between them and Alabama, as you said about ratings, if it comes between them and Alabama, that's very risky for TCU.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, do you think that committee and ESPN want a Georgia TCU? Or you think they much rather have Georgia and Alabama?
They want Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan.
Yep. Oh yeah. Ohio State. Yeah. Again, that game, Ohio State, Michigan did 16 million, I think 17 million. So
wow.
They
and ESPN didn't have it. Fox had it.
Yeah. So, ESPN would be licking their chops if they had any opportunity to be able to put that game on their network. So, yeah, absolutely. I think, unfortunately, I think TCU would be left out and, going to another New Year's 6-8 bowl. But again, I just, it would be unfortunate because they should deserve credit for going 12-0. And you lose to a top 10 team in a neutral site, but it's the way it works. And, in this world, it's all about money.
Absolutely. And yeah, and that TCU Georgia matchup, that's definitely not making the money that an Alabama Georgia matchup or an Ohio State Georgia matchup would make. So yeah, it's pretty, it could very easily be a must-win game for TCU this week. But let's get to the games, and we'll start with the Pac-12 championship game. And we got Utah and USC going at it. Utah's going to be without Tavion Thomas, but Dalton Kincaid's playing. He had over 200 receiving yards in the game that Utah beat them in October. So I think this is a really, really, really close competitive game between these two teams. I think this is a really close competitive game. But in the end, I'm taking the team with I've rode the USC bandwagon all year, and I'm not getting off it. I'm taking the team with Caleb Williams, who to me should be the Heisman Trophy winner. He's been outstanding this year. He's made more of a difference than any player in college football this year, and I think he leads his team to the college football playoff, and that's why I got USC winning the Pac-12 and getting a spot in the postseason. I got them beating Utah 31-24. But Justin, can the Utes repeat as Pac-12 champs?
I don't think so. I think Lincoln Riley finds a way to win the Pac-12 championship game 30-34. Utah won that game, but 2-point conversion late. Like, that was just a back-and-forth game up in Salt Lake City. Dalton Kincaid, yeah, as you mentioned, 16 catches, 234 yards. He left the Colorado game. He's banged up. He is going to play, but probably not going to be 100% healthy. And Utah's number one cornerback, Clark Phillips, who's probably going to be a first rounder, maybe an early second rounder, is I believe is still questionable for this game. So you lose your number. So you possibly may not have your number of cornerback against Jordan Addison of that offense. And it's not a Utah team that's, I've said this a couple of times when we talk about Utah. It's not the normal Utah team where their physicality up front. And I think they may struggle in that. Again, you got to find a way to somehow keep Caleb Williams for extending plays like he did last week. He just in the UCLA game, he just finds a way every time. You got to try to avoid that. But I don't. It's not the same Utah team. I think USC finds a way to knock them off.
Yeah, without Devin Lloyd, that defense is not as good. And without Tavion Thomas, their running game won't be as good. So that's why I think Cam Rising will make plays with his legs. I think he'll make some plays with his arm, but I just don't think they're good enough in this game. I just think Caleb Williams, who has been outstanding, is going to win this one. Yeah,
me too. I'm right there with you. Yeah, Cam Rising. There's been a couple of big games like that Oregon game on the road. He did not play well at. He's times in big games he has not been great, but USC's defense isn't. He should be able to make plays though against that USC defense because they have trouble stopping a lot of teams.
Oh, absolutely, without question. So we got the Big 12 title game between Kansas State and TCU. I mean, this is obviously TCU. This is a huge game, but I think that TCU wins this game, and I think they win it by double digits. I think TCU's offense. TCU's offense is really, really good, and they got to come from Xander. Yeah, how about my Cowboys? Chill. I've been quiet all year. I'm going to stay quiet. All right, we'll respond to Xander here. All right. Here's the thing about your Cowboys, and we talked about them on the previous show. They're 8-3, but I do think they're not. I don't think they're as good as the 49ers and the Eagles, and here's why. I don't think Dak Prescott is great. I think he's top 10. He's not top 5. And I think the run defense is a major issue. It's going to be a major issue when they play the good teams. I think the middle of that Cowboy defense is a major issue. They're very good on the edges with Parsons, with Lawrence. They obviously Trayvon Diggs, who I think's had a better year than he has last year. So they're better on the edges. But I think the problem with the Cowboys is the middle of the defense, and Dak is not great. And that's why I could very easily see them. I could very easily see them losing the first round. I could see them losing to the Bucs, but I don't think this Cowboy team, just like they normally are, I think they're good. They're not great, and I don't see them going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, unfortunately, Xander, I'm with Steve here. I think the Niners, the way they're playing, with McCaffrey coming in, that's gonna be a tough one again. You probably beat the Vikings again, probably be closer than the last time, but again, I just don't think you want to see a playoff Brady either, because that's gonna be tough to beat if you match up with them. Possibly. Yeah, I just, and the Eagles too could be it's gonna be a tough one for them as well. So the Cowboys are good. I could see them win a game or two. I don't know if they're the Super Bowl contender yet. This would be the year, if any, for the Cowboys, because it is pretty wide open. Because the Eagles and Niners both have their warts, but it is more open, I feel like, this year. So if there's any year for the Cowboys to get back there, it could be this year. But yeah, I'm not high on it though.
Yeah, we had to deviate from our college football talk because Xander, we miss Xander. Xander was part of the show all year last year. He was commenting all year. We miss Xander. We definitely miss Xander. He was a huge listener last year. And so when he's talking Cowboys, I don't care what we're talking about. We got to talk Cowboys.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I know. It's been weird. We haven't heard from him a lot this year. So yeah, it was always good banter last year going back and forth with them with the Cowboys. They're having another really good year. I thought without Tyron Smith, they were going to struggle this year offensively, but they're right there still in the pack, and they're still a playoff team.
Having a really good year, but the schedule is helped, and beating the Giants was crucial for them. Beating the Giants was definitely crucial for them.
Yeah, that was a big one to get to sweep over them, at home. So yeah, it was another big division game. It kind of put themselves in second place there with some cushion there.
Yeah, absolutely. So now back to what we were talking about, and funny, this game's at Jerry World. This game's at Cowboy Stadium as Kansas State faces TCU. I think TCU is going to contain Deuce Vaughn, and I think their offense is going to have another big game where they score over 30 points. Max Duggan, Miller, and Quentin Johnson all have good games, and I got TCU. I got them doing it. I got them finishing the season undefeated and punching their ticket to the college football playoff. So my top four are going to be, we'll do that after we predict the games, but yeah. But so I got TCU. I got TCU punching their ticket to the college football playoff. But Justin, can Deuce Vaughn spoil the Horned Frogs' playoff hopes?
I think they do. I got K-State 35-31.
Wow.
I think it's a reason why, Will Howard's going to be healthy. Adrian Martinez will be available. But Kansas State lost Martinez and Will Howard in that game. They were up 28-10. They were averaging 12 yards a play. After that, when the third string came in, they were only averaging 3 yards a carry, or 3 yards a play.
I think you got another comment from Xander. I've been this way because I've been super busy driving for FedEx, but I'll watch your show. Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely be watching the shows, definitely. But back to how Kansas State's going to win the game.
Yeah, so yeah, I think Deuce Vaughn's going to be too much for the Horned Frogs. Again, TC's been a great story. I know I picked against them a couple times. They looked really good last week. But I just think this Kansas State team's, I think it's a tough matchup for them. I think Dugan makes some plays in this game, but both teams defensively, whoever can get the stops towards the red zone, whoever holds teams to field goals, because both offenses, when they get close to the red zone, they both punch it in. They don't usually settle for field goals. That's going to be huge in this game. But I'm going to take Kansas State. I just remember watching that first half, and Kansas State just dominated them. They're pretty even, but I think Kansas State finds a way this week to knock them off.
They did dominate them, but TCU dominated them in the second half. I don't think Kansas State's good enough defensively. I just don't think they're good enough defensively. That's why I think TCU is going to do it. I know TCU's been close a lot to losing games, but I just don't think Kansas State's good enough defensively.
No, I can totally see they haven't. TCU's not great defensively either. I just remember watching that game, and it was Martinez and Will Howard did whatever they wanted to. And if they got 4 quarters of that, I know, again, they make adjustments and all that. I think that TCU team with Vaughn, I think it's a tough matchup for them. I think, again, I wouldn't be shocked to see TCU win that game. Again, they're right around the corner at Fort Worth. It's a TCU home game pretty much, but I think Kansas State figures it out. TCU's had a ton of close calls, but I think this one they're going to have a tough time figuring out a way to get over the hump in this one.
We got the SEC title game between Georgia and LSU, and I don't think this is much of a game. I think Brian Kelly's done a phenomenal job getting them here, but I don't think this is going to be much of a game. I mean, LSU is way too reliant on Jaden Daniels. I think he'll make a mistake or two in this game. And I think you saw Texas A&M. They ran the ball for almost 300 yards, and you knew they were going to run the ball. You knew Texas A&M was going to run the ball. This team with Stetson Bennett, I think he throws a couple touchdown passes. I think McIntosh. I think that and the rest of this running game, I think they run the ball all over LSU, and that's why I got Georgia winning the SEC title and probably getting the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. I got Georgia winning this game 38-20. But Justin, is there any way Jaden Daniels could help the Tigers pull off a major upset?
Probably not. The only way he can is if he plays even better than he did against that Alabama game. And I don't think there was much more he could do that Alabama game that he didn't. And he's banged up. He left that game with an ankle injury. He was in a boot. And he's, as you mentioned, he's a huge part of that running game. There's no way that ankle's going to be 100% this week. I just see them having a rough time moving that football. Their defense did not show up last week. And another thing is their special team has been awful too this year. Their starting field position here offensively, they rank 125th in the country. You try to do that against the Georgia's defense, it's gonna be a long day. It's tough to move the ball against them. And for Georgia, they didn't look great last week. For the first 30 minutes, they came out and just overwhelmed talent against Georgia Tech. But Georgia's still playing because semifinals is in Atlanta. They want that one so they could choose playing right there in the Peach Bowl. So I think Georgia will be fired up.
If they have the one, they have the choice
of choice. Yeah, where to play in the semifinals.
Okay, gotcha.
This game does mean something for Georgia, and because it's Michigan, it's either that or the Fiesta Bowl. I think Michigan could probably go either way with that one if they somehow got the one, but I don't. I see Georgia fired up, ready for this one. Kelly did a great job, but the SEC West this year is just so watered down. It's probably the worst Saban team I think in probably the last decade or so. It was a watered down conference. LSU took advantage. You did a great job, but there's no way they're keeping up with Georgia this week.
And you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that Alabama team somehow in the playoffs. I know that's the case.
No, we do not. For how bad it's just the top. It's a borderline top 10 team, and it's not a premium Nick Saban team, which is weird to see. But yeah, I don't want to see that team in the playoffs. They don't deserve it, which is odd saying for a Nick Saban team, but they really don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go to the Big Ten championship game, and this is probably going to be the most lopsided game of the weekend, obviously because of the divisions. I mean, the Big Ten West was absolutely terrible this year, and Purdue's more than likely there's a chance Aiden O'Connell might not play and we all know and we understand. We obviously understand that because of what happened in his family. So there's a good chance that O'Connell might not play. But that's definitely understandable, seeing what's happened in his family. But I think this is going to be a blowout. I think Corum and Edwards are going to have big games on the ground. I think J.J. McCarthy's going to throw a couple touchdown passes. And I think for the second year in a row, Michigan's going to win this game in convincing fashion. But, Justin, is there any way Purdue could pull off any kind of an upset?
Well, Jeb Brom is 3-0 at Purdue when facing top 30 teams. So
wow.
So they've been the Spoilermakers the last couple years.
You never know.
Yeah, and with the O'Connell stuff, it sounds like Purdue thinks he's going to play Saturday night, which does help, But yeah, I think if Charlie Jones could somehow get behind that defense, I just don't see it happening. But if he can, they got a shot. But Blake Corum's probably not going to play. Donovan Edwards not going to play. Purdue's passing defense isn't great. The best quarterback they've probably faced this year was either Sean Clifford or Talia Tagovailoa. They really haven't seen a good quarterback. McCarthy isn't great either, but I think he makes enough plays. And I just, that Michigan offensive line or even their defensive line, they're not going to be scared of playing Purdue up front. I think it's going to be tough for Purdue to win this football game. I think they keep it close. I think it's 31-21 if O'Connell plays. But other than that, I just don't. I think Michigan overwhelms them. And I think they pull what? Michigan really, I could see the game being close, but Purdue's got nothing to lose. But Michigan finds a way to win the game.
So before we get into the ACC championship game, what is your 4 after on Sunday going to be? My 4, we got a couple of comments too. On they're from no one, but my 4 are going to be my 4 are Georgia 1, Michigan 2, TCU 3. It's what it is. What it was announced last night. The TCU, Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC. What are your 4?
My 4 is Georgia, Michigan. Unfortunately, because I think it's, because I have TCU losing, I got USC at 3. And unfortunately, I would put TCU still in there at number 4, but I think the committee is going to go number 4, Ohio State. So for mine, it's, Georgia, Michigan, USC, and Ohio State.
So you got those. So you would take a 1-loss TCU over a 1-loss Ohio State?
Yeah, if this is a close game, then absolutely yes, because Ohio State got blown out in the second half for the second really straight year in a row. And their schedule, they did beat Penn State on the road. They went up there, a couple scores. They did beat a Notre Dame team, but they just got blown out. And, TCU, again, they didn't lose. It's still a close game. I think they should be awarded to get in there. I think again, in this, it's tough to go 12-0 in college football, especially in the Big 12, there's no Vanderbilt, like there's no bottom tier, like, there's not that doormat. So I think they should be rewarded for it, but I don't think the committee will though.
Yeah. That'll be really, really interesting. That'll be interesting. But I think that is pretty obvious though, that they would take Ohio State over TCU. But before we break, we'll talk about the ACC championship game between Clemson and North Carolina. I think this game is going to be close, even though this is the one game that really doesn't matter this week. I think this game is going to be close. I do think that Clemson wins it because of their defense, and I think they force Drake May to turn the ball over a couple times. And I think Will Shipley gets over 100 yards. That's why I got Clemson beating North Carolina 24-17. But can Mac Brown get an ACC title?
I think they have a chance. I just don't trust their defense. I got the Clemson 2023. Even though DJ was 9 for 28 last week, I can't believe Dabo doubled down that he's their starter next week. DJ needs to enter the transfer portal. I don't, or they need to kind of figure out that offense. But I just don't trust North Carolina, especially on the line of scrimmage either. They're not great. And Drake May, their offense kind of been out of sync the last couple of weeks. I think they're going to have a tough time protecting him. If he can extend some plays, they got a chance. But drop passes too for the Tar Heels have hurt them. I think Clemson will find a way to knock them off. But I do think it's a close one. But I wouldn't be shocked. I don't trust North Carolina's defense, even for how bad DJ's looked the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. It should be a good game, but Clemson should win this game because North Carolina's not playing well going into the game. But we got some new coaching hires in college football, and the U.S. advanced to the round of 16 in the World Cup. But before we talk about that, we're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
So we had a busy week of new hires in college football as Matt Rule got hired at Nebraska. Luke Finkel got hired at Wisconsin, and then Hugh Freeze got hired at Auburn. And the big question is which coaching hire will be the best, and I think it's definitely Matt Rule. I know Matt Rule was a terrible NFL head coach, but I think in the pros, I think in college, I think he's done a great job. He did a great job building Temple. He did a great job rebuilding Baylor, and I think he's going to do a great job rebuilding Nebraska. I would not be surprised if Nebraska wins the Big Ten West. I know it's not a huge accomplishment, but I wouldn't be surprised if they win the West next year.
Yeah, Matt Rule's a really good one. I think he fits really, really well for what Nebraska is now. They're not going to get the 5 or 4-star kids, so he did a great job developing at Baylor. You got to remember the way he took over for that for the stuff that Art Briles left, for all that stuff. He did an amazing job there of fixing that, getting that program to where better, and then with Temple too, win a couple championships there. So yeah, I think Matt Rule can kind of get the ceiling wherever, whatever it is for Nebraska nowadays. The one for me, it was tough between all three, but I'm going to take Hugh Freeze. He's beaten Saban twice. If he can keep his nose out of trouble this time around, I think he grew really, really well at Auburn. He used he brought in a lot of transfers at Ole Miss, when it still wasn't that popular yet. He's won wherever he's gone. He's done a really good job of just developing quarterbacks, which Auburn really hasn't had in a while. So I think Hugh Freeze could win a national championship or two at Auburn. So I think that's a really, good hire. But again, could he keep his nose out of trouble this time around? That's kind of the big question. But he's a guy that has beaten Saban in back-to-back years, and he's got more resources at Auburn than Ole Miss does. So I think Auburn with Hugh Freeze, I'd be shocked if they don't win a national championship.
I just think Hugh Freeze is in a brutal division, though. I think he's in a brutal spot, that SEC West. I think Matt Rule's in a better spot being in the Big Ten West. I know Luke Fickell's in a good spot, too, but I think Matt Rule, but Luke Fickell's been good. He did a great job building Cincinnati, but he hasn't built two programs the way Matt Rule has. That's why I like Matt Rule.
Yeah, and I see, because Matt Rule, again, Temple has never really been a football school. He did an incredible job there, and the stuff with Baylor was really good. Hugh Freeze is not walking into an easy division and all that, but he's the type of guy. I don't know how much longer Saban's going to be around. Like at some point, if he's there for a while, I could see Auburn win a couple SEC West titles. I could see them getting the college football playoff. The way he's just been able to develop, and he just wins wherever he goes, I think they could find a way to win one or two. National championship. And Fickell Wisconsin, that's gonna, that was, another one too, because it's like I think Wisconsin's gonna get out and try to go with a more modern offense, and because that team's always 8-4, something like that. I think that could definitely be another one where Wisconsin could be right there. It's gonna take a couple of years, but I wouldn't be shocked the next 5-6 years. Maybe they get to a level where they're able to compete with Ohio State in Michigan. They don't have to modernize that offense too much because you can see what Michigan's done. It's you get a physical enough offensive line and defensive line, you could be in pretty good shape. You have enough pieces around them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it should be interesting. I think all three are good hires. I mean, I think all three are going to turn their programs around. But we got to move on. We got to talk about a little bit of the World Cup in the U.S. yesterday. Moves on to the round of 16 after beating Iran 1-0. I mean, it was a really, really good game, and now they play the Netherlands, and this is going to be a tough one for them. But I think for the Team USA, they've accomplished what they set out to do. They got to the elimination round. They got out of group play. I think it's a successful run after missing the World Cup the year before. in 2018. I think this is a successful run for the U.S.
Yeah, it was rare for him to miss it. So yeah, I think getting out of the group is good. And I thought, yeah, a couple of draws there. They found a way to win yesterday. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good sign for Team USA, especially for how young they are as well. So you probably have a lot of guys that are going to come back in the next 4 years that have the experience. And again, they're going to have that experience now with playing in the knockout round. And, it's definitely feels like the future is brighter for the men's USA soccer.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. I mean, the excitement too. I think a lot of people were into the game, into yesterday. I think a lot of people will be into Saturday. It's gonna be a tough game on Saturday, but I think they have a chance. I mean, when your goalie's only given one goal, you definitely have a chance to win, to really beat anybody in this tournament.
Yeah, you do. And I thought yesterday too. The couple they thought like in the England game too, and Iran, they had multiple chances, they just couldn't convert. And yeah, Netherlands, I think they're a top 10 team I saw as well. So yeah, it's
number eight overall, but it'll be tough. Yeah,
it'll be tough again. Against England, they weren't supposed to win against England. They found a way to get a draw there. So yeah, I could see them playing tough. I know they brought in a couple extra defenders late in that game, but yeah, I think they're gonna have to continue to stay on attack. Against Netherlands Saturday, but yeah, I think they could find a way to win. It'll be difficult, but I think they could find a way to win it.
Oh, absolutely. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens to the U.S. on Saturday. But we're going to wrap up the show talking about a team that doesn't need another guy to be great, and that's the Houston Astros. And they signed Jose Abreu. And the biggest, I think, a weak spot for the Astros lineup was first base. Now they've added another bat. And I know his power numbers were down last year, but he did still hit over 300. You put him in that lineup with Alvarez, with Bregman, with Altuve, with Tucker. That's a top lineup. And the big question is, do they even need to sign Verlander to be the best team in the American League? And I say absolutely not. I think they're clearly the best team in the American League without even signing Justin Verlander.
Oh, absolutely. Because they probably have a major league ready guy at the AAA level, or pretty close. Because
just like with Correa, they had Jeremy Pena sitting right there.
Yeah, a guy that I never really even heard of, and I usually kind of try to stay at top of minor league system. I never even really heard much about the kid. So yeah, again. Gurriel had a good playoff. He hit right around 350 for the playoffs, but they didn't need another bat, but they got it, and they got a good one, and they got a guy who won an MVP, and for third baseman usually hits for average. So yeah, again, they're already better than everybody in the American League, and this just makes them even better. While everybody else in the American League hasn't really done much so far. They've gone on and get better like they usually do.
And 3 years, $58 million, that's a bargain.
Yeah. I know he's a little bit older, but yeah, that's not a bad deal for a guy that's, gonna probably hit maybe like around 6 or 7 that lineup right now.
Yeah.
That's a nice pickup for him. So yeah, it's another guy in that lineup that you got to try to maneuver around, and it's not easy.
Yeah, because you look at that lineup, you got Altuve, you got Bregman, you got Alvarez, you got Tucker, you got Pena. So yeah, it's probably going to be fifth, sixth, or seventh in the lineup. So that's really going to help him. And in the rotation, you got Valdez, and you got the guy who hurts the Yankees big time, and that's Javier. So I think the rotation, even if they don't sign Verlander, is going to be fine as well. So yeah, the Astros are looking really, really good going into next year. There's a very good chance they can get to their 4th World Series, and they can get to their I think 5th World Series in 7 years, and they could repeat as World Series champs. Yeah,
it wouldn't be shocking. Yeah, they've been on an impressive run right now. They're definitely looking like one of the favorites. Definitely the favorite right now in the American League, and they're definitely right there again with the Dodgers of being the MLB favorite right now for the World Series.
Absolutely. So that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin and Afrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking Week 14 of the NFL season and who made the Final Four in college football and the Heisman Trophy race. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is God.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.